Good afternoon. This is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer for the City of Sanford. This is another episode of Sanford Says. Today, our special guest is Jeff Davis. Jeff Davis is the City of Sanford's Public Works Projects Manager. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Lisa.
How are you today?
I'm fabulous.
Great. That's good to know. So Jeff is responsible for, I would say, every capital project that's going on in the City of Sanford.
That Public Works is actually building
Yes.
or working on. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So Jeff's going to talk with us today about some of those projects, which are, some of them are pretty visible. You as a listener have wondered what's going on with these construction projects, and this podcast will help you to understand some of the major high visible projects that are going on right now in the City of Sanford and that have gone on. So, Jeff, what actual major projects are you involved in right now? Can you share with us some of those? The
biggest project that we have going on right now, the most highly visible project that we have going on, is the seawall project along the lakefront. That's the Phase 3 portion of the new Riverwalk Trail and Roadway Design project that's going to be coming out to bid probably sometime later this year. But this portion of the project is building the seawall. It's a $13 million project, and it encompasses building a seawall from where we stopped at Mangosteen Avenue with Riverwalk Phase 2 to the zoo entrance.
Right. And that's called Seminole Boulevard.
That's called Seminole Boulevard. It was originally 1792, but the city inherited it from the state, and now it is Seminole Boulevard, and it's going to be Seminole Boulevard.
Yes, and that is, for those listening that may not know where we're referencing, it runs along, Seminole Boulevard runs along our beautiful Lake Monroe.
Correct.
And I would say it's one of our high features here. In Sanford, that the beauty of that lake on the Riverwalk and what that means to our residents and visitors, correct?
Correct.
And so we are working, Public Works is responsible for managing that project. There is a contractor that helps the City of Sanford with this? There's
the contractor that's the actual contractor doing the work is Wharton Smith. The design team that actually designed it was CP&H.
Mm-hmm. And we have the information about traffic rerouting. It's been on the city website if people just want to know outside of posting it on social media, because we've had to put some phase changes in traffic up
Correct.
On notify public and on our social media. So that's on the city website, sanfordfl.gov. Because that was a highly traveled road, and we had to kind of close down portions of it in order to fix this, right?
Correct. Well, the people may wonder, why did we have to close the road? I think that was, question number one. Why couldn't we just shut down a lane at a time? But underneath the road, there are some 85-year-old drainage structures, pipes that have been down there for a long time, and replacing those so they don't fail in the future was a priority. So there was no getting around. We had to take up the entire road. We've got water on both sides of the road.
Exactly.
You got the swamp on one side and Lake Monroe on the other.
Right.
So there's no closing down one lane to do this.
Exactly. And although it may be a little inconvenient for people that live down that way, ultimately, at the end of this whole ordeal, it's going to be an incredible amenity.
And it'll be a gift to the entire Central Florida area, I think.
Because it will eventually tie into the other trails.
Correct.
Across Central Florida, and even I think to the West Coast. Am I correct with that?
That's the main idea. The trail that I don't know who built it, if it was Volusia County or the state, built the trail over on the other side of the lake, and this will connect to
right.
that. It'll be 26 and a half miles. It'll be almost a perfect marathon.
That is just unbelievable. And
Yes.
what an amenity for this area, for this region. And it's right here in the city of Sanford. And for those folks that live very close to that, right on the water, practically that's in their backyard. I think they could be able to walk from their home and get on the Riverwalk.
Absolutely.
And then that goes the other way into downtown Sanford too. So, and then there's going to be that cross-county trail, correct? That's on Mellonville that will connect to.
That's going to be the main. Once that's finished, that's going to be the whole lake will be connected.
Part of that
by
26
trail.
mile.
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. So, Jeff, how long is this? We're in phase 3 now of this project over there on Seminole Boulevard. This is we're in June.
Yes, ma'am.
When is the time frame supposedly? And I know with construction it can vary.
It can vary, but I believe the contractors they're maintaining their schedule, and we're looking at a completion date of around the middle of December.
Okay. And then also from that point, the seawall project will begin?
No, the Riverwalk, the trail project.
The trail project.
The trail project is anticipated to begin about then. It's still in design. We're still working out some bugs in the design, but sometime within the next 2 months it should go out to bid and be awarded. So we're looking at possibly starting construction towards the end of this year.
All right. Well, that's a good average time frame.
Yes.
I mean, can't pinpoint things in Florida, right?
No.
So also downtown Sanford area is a high visible project. If those of you have been into our city in downtown Sanford lately, it's the Downtown Utilities Relocation Project. Can you speak to that, Jeff?
Yes. The portion of downtown between Seminole Boulevard and First Street, between Sanford Avenue and Palmetto and Hood Avenue, that area is going to be redeveloped for a commercial development. So in order to do that, there's a huge amount of infrastructure underground. The old sanitary system, the old storm systems, they've been underground for over 100 years, and they've been operational for that long. So we might as well take this opportunity now, since we're going to be developing that area or having it developed, to actually go ahead and change that old infrastructure and reroute it and take some of the pressure off the old system that we have.
Now, and that's amazing, 100-year-old pipes and
or
infrastructure, or older. We are a historic city, so that's something to underscore. But Jeff, can you share with the listeners that some of the responsibilities that public or our staff actually do in relation to these big projects versus contracting it out? And
yes, our inspection staff, what we do is we make sure that the project's done right. We look at on a daily basis. We're looking at all the materials. We're looking at the way it's constructed, and we make sure that we're getting a quality project. At the end of the day, the product that we want to give to the city and the residents is the same. There's a certain amount of pride that goes into it. So we want to make sure that the city's getting a good product and that the residents are getting a good product.
Sure. And what is the estimated date of the utilities relocation?
It's going pretty good right now, and they're on schedule. So I'm thinking sometime around the middle of September to the 1st of October.
All right.
They'll be completely out of there.
Nice. So in addition to those projects, can you speak to some other major projects that Public Works has completed, like in the last couple years?
Yes, ma'am. We completed our last phase of the Cloud Branch Drainage Project. The Cloud Branch Drainage Basin drains a huge
That's a tongue twister.
It drains a huge portion of our city's water that falls on our roadways. And this project the entire basin to be completed has taken about 12 years to complete now. So we're finally finished that last year. The final phase of that was $6 million, and that was a huge undertaking. That went right up Elm Avenue and across 1792 with some gigantic box culverts that were in everybody's yard and everything for about a year. And the contractor finished that ahead of schedule, which was amazing. So,
what is a box culvert?
A box culvert is a big square pipe, Lisa.
Okay. Just for those of you that are not in construction that are listening, which could be like 90% of you out there. And so this is the question I'm sure those folks may want to have answered. How are these projects funded?
Well, a lot of these projects are funded with your tax money, your stormwater fees. The residents of Seminole County have been gracious enough to actually vote and given us a 1 cent on the 1 cent sales tax, and that has given us a tremendous amount of a resource that we could pull from to actually build some of these projects, and like the Riverwalk, and it's an amazing thing.
Right.
That 1 penny, it makes a huge difference in what the quality of life that the people here.
Great point. Really great point.
It's enormous.
Yes. And so, in addition to the Cloud Branch, there's some other projects.
We just finished the US 1792 beautification project from Park Drive to First Street, and if everybody's seen all the nice historic lights, we got all the power underground. We got rid of all the grass alongside the road and put brick pavers down. Restriped the crosswalks, made them really nice.
And that was how much was that project?
That was $3.5 million.
Okay. And that is 1792 is a major entry point into our city.
Yes,
too.
ma'am.
So that's a nice.
It looks really good.
Aesthetic change
yes.
for us. And some other projects.
We did the Oak Avenue. We just finished the Oak Avenue streetscape between First Street and 3rd Street. That project was $800,000. We completed the historic Goldsboro streetscape from 1792 to Persimmon Avenue on historic Goldsboro Boulevard. That project was $3.5 million. It got a huge facelift. It got new lights, new sidewalks, new road, and it made a world of difference.
Facelift is the good term, and it is when the city and the county and the taxpayers they invest back into our city and do these huge streetscape projects, then it brings economic development to the city of Sanford.
I think that's true. You know, it gives, and also when you do something like that, it also gives the residents a sense of pride. When you have a rundown area and people just don't care about it no more, that they don't care about it no more. But if you go in and you give people something new, just like our Riverwalk, our 1792, people drive down the street and they go, "Wow, this is really nice."
Right.
So it gives you a sense of community pride.
Right, and I understand, Jeff, that you've been in Sanford for many years, so you can speak to that, right?
63 years.
63 years in the city of Sanford.
Yes.
So that's incredible.
Do I get an award?
Yeah. So you can see the change then yourself.
It's amazing.
Yeah. How the growth and the development.
It's amazing.
And you get to be part of that.
I get to be part of it.
And
yes,
make
ma'am.
the difference. So
yes.
That's pretty cool. What are the upcoming projects?
We've got some upcoming projects. The Riverwalk Phase 3 trail and roadway that's going to start after the seawall's in. This is going to be $16 million. This is going to be the icing on the cake. This is going to be it's going to look awesome. It's going to.
Can we give some details now, or should we?
No. Well, it's going to be a continuation. It's going to be a continuation of where we left off at Mangosteen Avenue, all the way to the zoo. It's going to go through out there in the middle of nowhere, you know, and it's going to have like an all natural feel to it.
When you mean middle of nowhere, you mean
like
it's going over the water.
It's going out along the roadway. But if you've gone out that way before, you know that's a pretty desolate area.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all it's woods on both sides,
right?
And you'll have the feeling that you're more out in nature than you are down here in town.
Nice.
So you'll start off wherever you start off downtown, and you go all the way to the zoo along the trail. Right. You know, it'll have a natural feel to it.
And this is the area, right? This is Central Florida Zoo entrance, and the area that you're speaking of is right there at the exchange on getting onto I-4.
Yeah, it's a
In
couple
Sanford.
of hundred feet away from that.
Yeah, but that's where it's located on the speed road. Right now, it does look like a lot of woods and vegetation, but we're going to not get rid of everything, but make it even more experiential for
Correct.
the visitors and residents to actually enjoy nature,
Correct.
and rather than just driving by 55 miles an hour and not being able to appreciate it, right? Like they had been, because the road the speed limit has already been lowered before this project
to 35 miles an hour,
and it'll stay that way, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's going to be roundabouts built into this
Potentially, there's
area?
going to be at the zoo. There's going to be a roundabout at Walnut Crest Run going into the preserves. There's going to be a roundabout there. One at not Mangosteen, but Oak Drive, and another one closer to where French Avenue and Seminole Boulevard come now.
Okay, and then what about the Terwilliger Trail?
The
Portion 2
is going to connect to
that's
that.
going to connect, and that you can take from Seminole Boulevard to
First Street.
First Street. Yeah, which is also 46, right?
46, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then eventually that last part between where Terwilliger Trail comes out onto First Street, there's that overpass that's right near a sunrail, but there's discussions
right now about actually continuing over the overpass with a bicycle/pedestrian trail portion.
So that you can get to the sunrail station and hop on there with your bicycle, and then
that's awesome.
The sky's the limit.
Or take
at that
like
point.
if you live in Orlando.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get your bicycle on the sunrail.
I think you can.
Well, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
yeah, you can. And then there's some other projects too that are in the millions of dollars.
Well, right now it's in design phase, and we're getting a drainage basin analysis done for the entire pump branch drainage system. And once we get those improvements in place, designed, we anticipate the improvements to cost somewhere between $15 million and $20 million. And this will have to be done in phases over the next 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm. And you mean, when you say pump branch drainage improvements?
The pump branch is a drainage basin located, it actually starts on Oak Avenue by 24th Street, and it drains everything from a little bit north of 25th Street by Sanford Avenue and Park Avenue, all the way to the lakefront. All that area collects all that water, and it has to go somewhere.
Right.
And as we keep
not in the lake, right?
Right. We want it to go into the lake.
Okay.
That's where we want it to go. We don't want it going into people's houses.
All right.
So what we have to do is
I'm learning as I'm doing these things too.
And as we keep building and everything, we take away a lot of the ground's ability to absorb water. So as we do that, you get a lot of extra water with no place to go. So we have to do our due diligence to actually
guide the water
the water to the lake.
Okay.
So that's what we have to do.
And that's unique to Sanford because we're so close to this.
We're surrounded by water.
We're surrounded by water.
Yeah.
And that's one of the attributes of Sanford is the water. I would say.
I think so.
For aesthetically and for visitors all of that.
It is.
But there's of course these underlying important things
there's
that
a lot of
you have to deal with in public works.
There's a lot of important things that we have to deal with when it comes to our water quality as well.
Right.
We have to make sure that the water that's coming off our streets and roadways is meeting the expectations of the Department of Environmental Protection and the EPA.
Right, and that's kind of what I was alluding to when I was saying that, that's that pump branch drainage improvement. Would that help with that?
Yes, ma'am, because we'll possibly have to put some ponds in, and when you put a pond in, one of the main reasons for a pond is to hold the water so that what's in it will settle to the bottom, and what comes out of it goes into the lake sediment free.
Right.
Well, it's not totally sediment free,
right.
its nutrients, the nutrients and sediments are reduced.
Okay. Gotcha. Anything else? Park Avenue Educational Stormwater Pond?
That's going to be that's going to be going on up on Park Avenue between 25th Street and 24th Street on Park Avenue. We're going to be building a pond. It's going to have a sidewalk. It's going to have lights around it. It's going to have a fountain in the middle with lights.
Very nice.
And it's going to have an educational caveat to it explaining exactly what this pond does. So
That's
people
pretty
so
cool.
people will know
Sure.
the importance of our drainage infrastructure.
And so what time frame will that project
It's out to
begin?
bid. It's out to bid right
Out to
now,
bid now?
and it's going to open up. The bid's going to open up in a couple weeks.
Can you explain what that means, actually, out to bid? How does that, in a nutshell?
Out to bid means that whenever we put a project together, we put the project out to the public. Contractors then look at the project, do a bid, do all their numbers,
Like a quote, right?
Like all their quotes, put all
Yeah.
their calculations together of how much it's going to cost. They seal it, and then it's opened on a certain date. Whoever's the lowest or the most qualified gets the job.
And who actually chooses that?
That would be our purchasing department.
Okay.
They make the decision on who's the most qualified, the lowest bid, and the most responsive bidder.
All right.
They check all the people's qualifications, and whoever's the lowest, usually it's the lowest. But if
Okay.
there's been some instances where the lowest bidder wasn't qualified to do the work, so.
All right. Well, that's good to know. It's interesting information. And then, Jeff, talk a little bit about the Elm Avenue sidewalk drainage and the country club sidewalk. Sidewalks are important.
Sidewalks are very important, and a lot of people they'll say, hey, we need a sidewalk on our road. Just go ahead and put some concrete down and be done with it. It's not that easy because once you put down some concrete, you don't know what kind of issues you're going to be creating as far as backing water up and everything. So you have to actually get this designed. And a lot of times when you do put a sidewalk in, you have to put in some drainage structures too, so that you're not creating a water problem somewhere.
Okay.
So that's one of the deals with the Elm Avenue sidewalk. We're having to put in sidewalk structures and everything. And this is for the Pinecrest School area. There's a lot of kids on Elm Avenue that walk between Park Drive and 27th Street, and this has been necessary.
Mm-hmm.
The Country Club sidewalk, we're anticipating putting a sidewalk from 20th Street at Goldsboro Elementary all the way to down Hayes Drive,
Mm-hmm.
to 25th Street.
Okay.
The county just did a road improvement project on 25th Street at Ridgewood Avenue, and they also put a new sidewalk there. There's three schools in that area, and there's a lot of kid traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So this sidewalk will actually connect to the new county sidewalk and to our existing sidewalk on 20th Street
Right.
and on Country Club Drive.
Okay. And so we want to also mention that with this construction and all, we appreciate our residents, our visitors to cooperate with us and just be patient during these times when the city's growing and there's barricades places, there's rerouting of roadways, but in the long run, of course, it's for the improvement of the city and improvement of quality of life, like you said,
Absolutely.
and Sanford's growing. And this is just an example of that out there. All of this construction going on, and I know that what's the paving budget actually?
Our paving budget is we've got about $1 million a year for our paving. We get quite a bit done for $1 million. We do a lot of million overlays, and $1 million doesn't go very far.
Yeah, no, that's what everybody needs to know. I mean, when it comes to
it doesn't go very far
for city to do things like this.
But we get a pretty good bang for our buck for what we do. Also, we have another $250,000 a year that we use for our sidewalk repair. Oak trees everyone loves oak trees,
right?
But they do an incredible amount of damage to our sidewalks. So those are in constant.
There's always the yin and the yang, the good and the bad.
Those are they're always in constant need of repair.
Yeah. All right. And is there anything else, Jeff, that you'd like to say? Staff's really busy. I know.
Well, if you've noticed, everywhere you see all these telecommunication companies, and they're just going hog wild, putting in new fiber optic systems. They're all getting ramped up.
5G.
They're all getting all ramped up for the new 5G networks and everything. So there's a tremendous amount of fiber going in the ground. And you'll see a lot of these directional drilling machines alongside the road. Well, one of the things that you don't want to happen is you do not want a directional drill put into your storm pipe, because if you water, because if you don't want anybody to get flooded out.
Right.
You don't want a directional drill to go through a water pipe.
Right.
Because it does an incredible amount of damage.
Right.
You don't want a directional drill to go through your sewer pipe, because it does an incredible amount of damage. And our staff make sure that a lot of that doesn't happen, and that's
very good.
That's a good thing.
And speaking of that, your staff, how many staff work with you directly?
I've got directly under me, I've got the utility inspectors, one supervisor and one utility supervisor and 3 inspectors. And in the public works part of it, I've got 2 senior inspectors that make sure our projects are done correctly.
Right. So you're not behind the desk very often. You're probably out there and about, checking up on all this that's going on.
I really don't have to check on them too much. They're good at what they do.
Awesome. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to add, Jeff? This was very enlightening to me too. So, would you like to share anything else about the City of Sanford Public Works project manager and what goes on in your world?
Well, here's the thing with Public Works, like our streets and our roads and everything. We can't see everything, and we rely on the public a lot to let us know when they see something that needs to be repaired, or if they have some problems or issues anyway. Cause our staff just isn't large enough to see everything.
Right.
So we rely heavily on the public. Hey,
Okay.
if you got a pothole, please call us.
Okay.
We'll fix it immediately. If you got sidewalk issues, call us.
All right.
We'll repair it.
And what number should they call?
407-688-5080.
That's the Public Works Department number.
Yes, ma'am.
407-688-5080. And also, please check the Sanford website, sanfordfl.gov. A lot of these projects are listed, especially on the news section. Some of the highly visible projects that are like the Riverwalk and the downtown utility projects. There's more information there. But if you'd like to get in touch with Jeff, also, he's available. Jeff's email is jeff.davis@sanfordfl.gov. Well, thank you for being on the Sanford Says show today, Jeff.
Thank you.
It wouldn't be what it is without these topics, these experts in city services. So thank you so much. This is Lisa Holder, Communications Officer for the City of Sanford. You can catch this podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, SoundCloud, Spotify, and the city website, sanfordfl.gov/podcast. Thank you again for listening. See you again.
Thank you.